Hey guys, how's it going? Onach here. Welcome to a new iRacing video where we'll be driving in the Formula Renault 2.0 Championship Season 4 of the Apex Online Racing League. We're going to start off where we have left off basically. We're gonna be featuring the highlights for rounds 3 and 4. Remember last time out we were focused on the highlights of Watkins Glen, which was round 1 at Donington Park. This video will be featuring the highlights of the third round and the fourth round, which were driven at Okayama and Brands Hatch. At the start of the video you saw the Drivers' Championship currently doing a good business in there, but you have to bear in mind that Juni Silvasti missed the second round of the season. Okayama it is then, perhaps not a very famous circuit, so to say. A circuit probably well known under the iRacing community, but not so much in the real racing world. We were starting from second place as we qualified there as well, obviously, and Hugo Preto took the lead immediately into turn 1. Now immediately there are a few things that you will notice, and that is the lack of, well, cars out on track. That is because of the settings that I had. I was basically having a max visibility of 20 cars. There are more than 20 drivers in this race though, so it seems like there are not that many cars, but in reality there are more, but the game simply doesn't show more than, I think it was 18 or 20 that I set. Not off to a particularly good start. Immediately we are being pressured by Gunnar Nijenhuis for P2. Obviously he is in P3, coming into the hairpin here at this track. Okayama is a track that is based in Japan, I believe, but Nijenhuis not able to make it there, and Prieto in the meantime is pulling a little bit of a gap. Now one thing that or two things basically that I should mention. One, you can see the cursor on screen, that will disappear in a second, so no worries about that, but I do apologize for it. And that brings me on to the second part as well. I was trying to look for an overlay, that is also why it took really long for me to push this video out. I was trying to look for an overlay. I kind of found an overlay, but it wasn't the best overlay ever. But unfortunately, due to my own mistake, the overlay was not captured. So this is really, I promise, the last highlight video of this season where you do not see any kind of on-screen information or whatever, you know, regarding how many laps we have got to go or what the standings are at the minute. Well, it's not hard at the moment though. We are P2, but being pressured by Nijenhuis. I think this has to be lap 3 or 4-ish. After the successful race at Donington Park, I wasn't that confident really around this track at all. There was one corner in particular where I was always struggling, and you can see it here. Nijenhuis going on the inside of the hairpin. We'll have the inside line for the next corner. This is some good side-by-side battling, but there is some contact. And we're still side-by-side. Nijenhuis and Gunnar Nijenhuis around the outside, and he takes us. That's a really good move by him. Trying to pressure him a little bit, take a bit of a lunge coming into this corner. Force him into a mistake, which, wow, almost worked really. Some oversteer there for him. Another hairpin trying to use the switchback here, but can't really execute that because Silvasti was in the way. And you don't want to cross the lines there and cause contact. Final corner, also not really that great. So it seems like Gunnar Nijenhuis has got that move sealed. Good move by him, but I wasn't that happy about it at all because there was indeed some contact. We'll have a look at that in the replay very shortly. But yeah, this is a little bit of a setback for us, and there was slight damage to the front wing. Especially on the right hand side, of course. It's very hard to see, but in the replay soon you'll see that it is slightly bent. Now, I wasn't that quick in the first place around this track anyway. It was already a miracle that I managed to finish second in qualifying, but with this damage that costs you around a tenth to 1.5 tenths, I would say, per lap, it doesn't make it much easier at all. And the next lap immediately Silvasti pressures us and he goes on the inside. I'm not even bothered trying to defend that one again on the outside there. So, well, down to P4 in the matter of only 2 laps. That's not great at all, and we've managed to pick up a little bit of damage. Obviously you want to try to stick with Silvasti as much as you can now, but honestly it wasn't that easy at all. We'll have a look at the replay here then. So Gunnar Nijenhuis on the inside here of the hairpin. It was a deliberate decision for me to stick it around the outside here, because you have the inside line for the next 3 corners. There is the oversteering moment that Nijenhuis had. And in the slow motion in the second, as he managed to, well, swing around the outside there brilliantly. In the slow motion you'll see in a second, you'll see the front wing bend as well. You have to pay very close attention to the right part of the front wing. So here we go, then here is the slow motion I was talking about. Have a good look. Right there. There is where it slightly bends. And that is also what caused the damage then. It is only very slight damage, of course. But it is enough to lose about a 10th a lap. And that definitely doesn't help you. But honestly, excuses aside, I wasn't that fast around this track anyway. So maybe, you know, incidents like these happen. There was some good side-by-side battling, but over the course of a season you just have to accept that incidents and accidents can happen. It was just a little bit, you know, it's always a bit unfortunate, and we're skipping to about the middle part of the race here, and the car ahead of me is a back marker, and in front of that are Silvasti and Nijenhuis. So you can see immediately I was struggling to keep up. I was struggling to keep up with the top three, and at the same time I fell into the clutches of P5, who we are seeing on screen right there, and that is René Oosterkamp, I believe, running in that, what is it, green yellowish car. I'm colorblind, so it's hard for me to specify that color. Whatever, the truth is about this race is that we are going backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards. Now remember, I said there was one corner in particular where I wasn't confident at all. It is this one, this corner right here. Man, oh man, it was such a pain in the ass to get it right. Such a pain in the ass as well to get the setup right for that corner, actually. Now another, well, compromise that we have got because of the damage is when we are going to pit, which seems to be right now. We're, by the way, approaching the pit lane here behind the back marker, who is somewhat struggling to get into this pit lane quickly, so we lost another bit of time over there, but I can't blame him. Another downside of the damage is that it will be repaired in the pit lane, and you cannot disable repairs in iRacing, I believe. So, well, there is no other choice for us than to pit and the front wing being repaired, and that costs us a little bit more time. And obviously that is not in our advantage at all while battling with P5 René Oosterkamp. But it's the way it is, and yeah, right from the moment we've got damage, it was also a damage limitation race, so to say, a race where we, well, had to limit the damage in terms of championship points. Coming around the final corner here, this is the out lap, so this is one lap after I went into the pit lane, and look on the horizon, on the right hand side there, that dot on the horizon, that is René Oosterkamp. So that is a massive gap. Remember, we were in front of him while we pitted. This is him, this is René Oosterkamp. He is now effectively in P4, and look at the gap he has got. That is an absolute massive gap, so that shows how much time we've actually lost in the pit lane. But you know, it's the way it is, and you have to accept it. And the positive side of the format that they have got going in ApexOnlineRacing is that we'll be starting ahead of Silvasti, ahead of Oosterkamp, and ahead of Nijenhuis, and ahead of the winner Prieto, because Prieto won this race in the actual sprint race. So we'll start ahead of those guys because the grid order gets reversed. So, well, that was really the only positive side about this race, but the pace was not there initially anyway. Sprint race then. Let's hope that this provides a little bit of a more successful race for us personally. There we see on the right hand side Oosterkamp. This is Prieto, this is Silvasti. Silvasti won it then. Did Silvasti win that race? I guess he has, so apologies about that. I think I was wrong. I think I saw Silvasti starting behind Prieto there, which would mean that Silvasti won the feature race. Massive job from Silvasti then. Off to a clean start. That is great to see. We are on board with Oosterkamp here. We are on the left hand side. There we go. On board with us now. And it's always, you know, always a bit, yeah, I wouldn't say scary, but you are definitely sitting on your seat ready to capitalize or react on an incident. And speaking of an incident, a car ahead there almost lost it in front of us, managed to step on the brakes, and well, quite a hair-raising moment there down the straight. Then you see plenty of battles going on here. There's in fact contact between two cars. I'm not entirely sure whether that was Silvasti going into the barrier. It did kind of look like his car, so perhaps it was Silvasti. Really awkward incident down the straight with one car flying into a barrier. Whatever, we focus on our own race. Again, it's always a bit navigating through the field here. The cars ahead of you are usually slower. That's the purpose, obviously, of a reverse grid. And look at this. So much battling going on here. We're on the inside here of another car. That will mean he has the inside line for this hairpin. Excuse me, there he is. So we have to swing around the outside. That is not a problem. So up another position. But there's still a long way to go, obviously. Seems like Kessler is in front of us. You can see it. You can see that by the rear wing. But completing the first lap clean and safely, that is the most important thing. And the bonus is the amount of positions we've already made up. Again on the inside of Kessler into the first turn, another position gained. It seems like we're doing very well here. No sign yet of Silvasti, of Nijenhuis or whoever. We are currently in P11, so knocking onto the door of the top 10, who seem to be battling quite a bit ahead of us, which is good for us. That means we can probably capitalize on this battle. There we go. Have a nice exit that leads onto this long straight, and at the end of this long straight waits a hairpin where you can really make a decent move. Try to outbrake someone. There's someone on our inside though. I braked relatively early, to be honest. That car on our inside braked a bit later than us, let's be honest. But also, again, it's important to keep it clean in these sprint races. The sprint race is 25 minutes. No need to make a pit stop here, whereas in the feature race you do make a pit stop, since that race is 40 minutes long. Going for a dive bomb. I think it is on Phil Reed here. I'm not entirely sure if it is Phil Reed, but I think it is. The dive bomb seems to be working. Does it? Not really, because we are being forced very wide. Well, good racing, hard racing, to be honest. I think Phil Reed there is the car in front of us. He left just about enough space for us. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's either Phil Reed or it's Yannick Nijenhuis. I think it is Phil Reed though. On the outside of turn 1 here. Well. Yes, I think so, because the next one is a left-hander. Yep, and we've got the inside line there. So another position. Had to fight for that one quite hard, but we've got it in the end. I think it is Nijenhuis actually. I think this is Yannick Nijenhuis. Before it is Phil Reed actually. It may be Phil Reed. I'm starting to wonder. Again, next highlight video we'll have an overlay. It will make our job a lot easier of following this race. And I think this is Phil Reed. I'm sure this is Phil Reed now. Went for a dive on the inside of the hairpin. I left room for him. Again, if you're on the outside line of the hairpin, you'll have the inside line for the next 3 corners, because they are all left-handers. There is a little bit of a straight though over here. Obviously Phil Reed on the inside here, and there is contact, slight contact. And look at us, we lose the car actually in front. We spin around, man, and this is then a very painful moment, as you have to wait before you rejoin the track. Look at this, a very long moment of waiting before we rejoin. And a bad weekend seems to be, well, only getting worse. Almost being cut off there by, who is that? That is Lester? Could be Lester. Oh, a parked car in the middle of the final corner. Okay, that's another way to pass. I won't complain. Look at the replay though. This was 100% my fault. I was too focused on the car ahead of us, and I was like, well, I'll just dive bomb this guy. He left the door wide open, so I'll dive bomb on the guy that's ahead of us. Well, I did that. I did not look into the mirror, and because I dive bombed, I also left no space at the same time for Phil Reed, who dive bombed us in the return. And you know, my approach to dive bombs is they are fair, as long as you can make the corner and leave space for another car. I don't think that anyone should complain about the dive bomb if they leave the door wide open. Leaving the door wide open is pretty much an invitation for a dive bomb, and here we see that pass in the final corner then. Well, a bit unusual, but well, the car, you can see here, had quite a bit of front wing damage we were battling, but still unusual pass. However, our weekend got from bad to worse, obviously, and we find ourselves down to P24, and it's an absolute, yeah, shocker of a weekend, really. With a fifth place in the feature race, and now in the sprint race I messed it up myself completely, and yeah, I have to pay then for the consequences, and the consequence is P24. We are making our way up through the field, though. Obviously the guys we are fighting with now are, well, usually not the fastest guys, with all respect. But in this 25-minute race there is some time to still catch up, you know, not much, but you know, you give it your all, you try to maybe finish in the top 10, that is really the best you can do. Score some points, you never know how valuable they are going to be at the end of the championship. And we see Yannick Nijenhuis here, who's on the inside line of the car ahead of us. I think it is Phil Reed, no, it is not Phil Reed, I think it's a teammate of Phil Reed. We are passing there as Nijenhuis. What is he doing? He looked like a dolphin, I don't know, wiggling his tail all around, or like a shark, I don't know. We skip a little bit later though, still behind Yannick Nijenhuis, who goes very wide on the exit of the final corner. So did we, though, trying to carry as much speed into that corner, or on the exit of the corner, as possible. Again, around the outside of turn 1, maybe we can do that. The answer is yes, it looks like it. Yep, even ahead before the second corner starts, so good move. Another position climbed, but again, the damage is really has really been done before. And ahead of us are two guys, Steven Chambers and Knut Martensen, who are battling quite hard. That has allowed us to catch up quite fast. And well, obviously we're cutting through the field quite nicely, but like I said before, the damage has already been done at the beginning part of the race. And I only think that I am the only one to blame. And the weird thing is, while I was racing, so in this race, I sworn I could have, you know, rammed Phil Reed off the circuit almost. I don't know why, but for some reason, and this is why sometimes, you know, you have benefit of hindsight, you know. What I mean with benefit of hindsight is you can look back at the replay and you can change your opinion, because at the time I completely thought, and I don't ask me why, I completely thought Phil Reed was a massive, you know, massive beep. You can fill in that beep for yourself if you want, and he shouldn't have done that. I really thought he was at fault, and that was complete bollocks to think that from me, because there was only one guy at fault, and that was myself, and not Phil Reed at all. So that shows that in the heat of a moment, really, you can think something that is incredibly incorrect, and then you give it a little bit of a rest, you give it a day or two, you look back at the replay and you think, what was I thinking? The only person who was at fault there was myself. Funny thing, this is Phil Reed, and we are behind Phil Reed. This was the moment where I thought, you know, shall I smash him off the track? No, all jokes aside, again, I really I wasn't happy with Phil Reed at all. That is a little bit of an understatement even. He defends the inside line for the hairpin, even swerving a little bit to him there. There we go, showing that I'm not happy with him at all. But again, this is incorrect what I'm doing, because it was me who was at fault. And then the funny thing is as well, Phil Reed puts up an amazing battle, and the longer he stays side by side with you, the longer you think, man, piss off. I just, oh man, I can laugh at myself here. I'm basically, you know, I'm basically making fun of myself here, but yeah, that's the way it goes, I guess. Up to position 9 though somehow, so not bad at all. We see Plumley and Imre going at it in front of us. We'll try to capitalize on that battle as much as we can, obviously. Back to serious business. On the outside here, not gonna happen. We can see Plumley ahead. Imre is on the left hand side of us, there he is. This time I have learned from what happened before, not doing a dive bomb this time. Plumley, we are going on the outside of him. And well, should have the move here, going quite deep into there. That means we can straighten up the car quite nicely. Have a good exit indeed, and that is another position gain. So 8th position, actually that's not bad at all considering where we were before. We had to wait a very long time obviously after our spin for all cars to pass and then rejoin the track. One more thing as we make another move on the inside of turn 1. Another thing, I also thought that I spun because of the contact that I had with Phil Reed, but I also think that is not true actually. I think I took too much speed actually into the left-hander, and again, like I said earlier in this video, that corner was a corner I struggled with so much. I simply think I carried overspeed into the corner and then lost the rear end as the rear end started to rotate quite a bit. So it had nothing to do with the damage at all, or the contact at all that we had with Phil Reed. But again, for some reason at the time I also thought that was Phil Reed's fault too, but trust me, it is not. Coming across the line here, just about not enough to get another position on the car in front of us. So a frustrating weekend, let's put it like that. We have to do much better at Brands Hatch round 4. So leaving a frustrating weekend behind, we arrive at Brands Hatch, putting it in pole position with a miraculous lap. I have to say, that lap that put me up in pole position was somewhat crazy. It's online on the Origin Front Row Racing YouTube page, so if you want to see it, have a look at there, and the pole position lap can be viewed there from the onboard. Again, you see the cursor on screen, it just gone out of screen, so apologies about that. And again, for the next race I'll fix an overlay. Now Brands Hatch is a little bit more of my cup of tea. Having said that, we already come under pressure in the opening lap by Juni Silvasti. Again, it's well, for a big part of this season, let's put it like that, it is Silvasti against us. It's a fantastic rivalry that is really developing here. Silvasti he is considered as one of the better drivers in the Formula Renault 2.0 car, and like I said in the first video as well, people who I know from iRacing said, that guy, that's gonna be your main rival. He's a very quick guy, very talented guy, doesn't race much else other than the Formula Renault, so he's got plenty of experience in those cars. You should be aware of him. Now, again, Brands Hatch, more my cup of tea. Why? There are very much, there are very many fast corners, let's put it like that. Many fast corners around this track, and fast corners, flowing corners, that is more my cup of tea, like I said. Replay of lap 1 here, a bit of a mistake really. That corner where I made that mistake, that's also a bit of my Achilles heel in this race. Always through there, I didn't find the right balance. It's a little bit like that hairpin we had at Okayama in the previous round. There was also one particular section where I struggled with. The same story around Brands Hatch then, but obviously a different kind of corner. Staying in P1, what I did feel like though, and I felt like this quite early on in the race, I felt like Silvasti had better pace than us, and I think putting it on pole position was, would you call it luck? I think I would call it quite lucky, because it was pure luck that I pulled out a bit of a start on overlap really. Because if I didn't do that, I would have been second, Silvasti would have been first, and he probably would have flown away. And now I at least have a little bit of a chance of a victory, of course. Again, at the start of the race, I really felt like Silvasti was faster than we were. And well, perhaps this is a move that Silvasti could make on us outside here. No way, he's gonna hit the gravel trap. He's in the gravel trap, but able to continue his way just about though. But there it shows that Silvasti was quite feisty on the attack. Side by side through that right hand. I have to leave him room obviously on the outside. This is, I guess, a very difficult corner to go side by side through, especially for the outside car, which in that case was Silvasti. That was P3 we were on board with just a second, so it seems like the top two, Silvasti and ourselves, are pulling away quite nicely. But again, I really felt like Silvasti had the pace advantage on us, he had the edge on us, and I thought it was only a matter of time before Silvasti was going to pass. At the same time though, whoop, keep it on track. Keep it on track. Again, a mistake in that corner, by the way. That allows Savasti to be right on our gearbox. Trying to be on the outside line on the entry of that uphill left-hander, so you can straighten up the car for this straight here. If you can have a good exit out of the hairpin, the uphill hairpin, the left-hander onto this straight, then you can basically stay ahead of the car which is behind you, which is exactly what happened there. So it's not necessarily the fastest way to really take the outside line on entry, then cut back to the inside on exit so you can straighten up the car and have a good exit. It's not really the fastest way around that corner, but I think it is the best way to defend down the very long straight that follows the hairpin. What I wanted to say though, the longer the race, or the more the race progresses as well, the more you have the feeling, the more you start to believe, I think I can keep this guy behind, despite him having the pace advantage. Yes, we're gonna have pit stops, and yes, there could be a change during those pit stops in terms of track position. But at the minute, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to win this race. Yes, I'm somewhat overdriving the car in a sense. You can see I'm wiggling about way more than Silvastri is. Silvastri is way more under control, and that is usually the way you want to go in racing, of course. But as long as I nail my exit right here for this straight, you know, where else is Silvastri going to pass? Maybe down the start-finish straight, but even there he seems to have trouble trying to get by. So again, even though I feel like he has the pace advantage, I am able to keep him behind for the moment. Let's keep it like that. For the moment, you never know what's going to happen towards the end of the race. Again, we have got pit stops to go as well, so at the minute though, it's looking quite promising. This was also a corner right here, this left-hander. Silvastri was superb through there. Every single lap he was really, really fast through there. He closed up on the entry of this final corner because of that. And you're continuously under pressure. The whole race you are under pressure. For this start-finish straight over here, but mainly for that straight after the uphill left hairpin, which we are coming up to quite soon. That is the main overtaking place, I guess, in this race. Silvastri already went side by side with us through there. So if Silvastri is going to do it somewhere, it seems to be likely he's going to do it over there. So here we go, another lap, another mistake in this left-hander here before the uphill left-hander hairpin. Again, though, you see here I go a bit deep, then I cut back to the apex, try to straighten up the car, but I didn't really do a good job there. Didn't probably get the power down as well as I would have liked. That allows Silvastri to do it again. Again around the outside over here. He brakes a little bit later than us, carries more speed into there. We are gonna have to leave him room, which we're doing. Is he again gonna do it around the outside here? No, he doesn't. He goes for the switchback, which is probably a very, very clever move. He takes a better exit. Very, very tight gap for him there. He makes a little bit of contact with us, and he goes on the inside. But you could hear there was a little bit of a grass noise, a car going over the grass noise. Let's put it like that. And that was us actually leaving the track. We're having a look at the replay here. I left a very tiny gap for him right there, but he made a bit of contact with us right as I wanted to slow down for that corner. And maybe this is a silly excuse, I'm not entirely sure because it has been quite a long while ago already, but I remember feeling like that little tap which happens around here, that little tap, I felt like it gave me a few extra kilometers an hour basically as I wanted to slow the car down, and due to that I went off track. Maybe again that's a stupid excuse, maybe I was on the dirty part of the track and I simply lost grip there. That's also a very, well, a very good alternative option, so to say. The fact is that Silvastri has gone through, left him not a lot of room at all, but did leave him just about enough room, and it seems like Silvastri is immediately pulling away. Having said that, he has a moment. Silvastri on the exit of the final corner bottles it, goes into the gravel trap, and we retake the lead. And man, what a lucky moment for us, because there was no way in hell Silvastri was gonna give that first place away, really, in terms of pure pace, because he had the pace on us. But he made that mistake, and right after that mistake as well, the pit stop window opens up, and it's not bad timing for us at all. That's why I say lucky. We had a bit of a gap coming into this pit lane here, so we have a bit of a buffer. Exiting the pit lane though, there we go. Silvasti is right on our tail again, so he made up a bit of time on the pit stop. One thing that I was always uncertain of is the amount of fuel I had to carry, because we do some refueling during the pit stops, and usually I would play it safe. I would play it really safe and just take some extra liters of fuel. That still shows the inexperience I have really in these cars. Remember, this is like my fourth race in this car, 8 if you include the sprint races as well, since this is the fourth round of the season. But there's still some kind of inexperience really, and it shows during those pit stop moments where I take perhaps too much fuel with me, but I would rather be safe than sorry. But obviously the more fuel you take during a pit stop, the longer it is the longer it is going to take to refuel the car, and you have to be stationary for a little bit longer than you would like. Silvasti on our tail though, making a mistake again. So this is really the knockout, so to say, for Silvasti. We are in the final couple of laps of this race. Silvasti makes a mistake, and from there onwards I was able to bring it home. Not necessarily a victory that is deserved, I would say. Looking at pure pace, Silvasti had the edge on us, but that is not always... Pure pace doesn't always guarantee a victory, absolutely not. You need to have the consistency, and if you make a mistake, like Silvasti did this race, it shows that you can easily lose a spot as well. And as an opponent then you just have to capitalize, and I guess that's what we did relatively well this race. But yeah, purely focused on pace, based on pace, Silvasti was faster than us, and this was a little bit of a wake-up call as well for the rest of the season. It's going really well. We're doing better than I expected in the championship, but if I really want to go for the championship title as well, then I have to up my raw pace for the next couple of races. Before we go into the next couple of races though, there was obviously a sprint race that was to be run. We were starting from P17, Silvasti on the left hand side there. He obviously started ahead of us as the grid order was reversed for the sprint race. 25 minutes is on the way, and a clean start so far into turn 1. Although we see 2 cars on our right hand side there. Again, remember that the replay only shows like 18 cars while there are more cars out on track. So sometimes you see a few cars blinking. That is all due to that fact, where we have 18 cars visible instead of the, 28 or whatever that we're racing. Coming into this happen here, so far so good, making up a few positions nicely, but only one thing has to happen and then it can go all wrong, and there we go, one thing does go wrong and we get hit from behind as well. A massive collision. There we go, that's what I was talking about with all cars appearing there. Again, we have to wait for cars that are rejoining the track. We are being hit from behind. Yeah, well, what can I say? There is absolute carnage here, and the front left suspension doesn't look healthy at all. So this is the end of our race. I knew it straight away. End of our race. We'll try to bring it to the pit lane, try to get the repairs going, but it was not enough to fix the car, and that leads to a DNF for us in this race. The start was not bad at all. The first couple of corners were great. In fact, we had already made a pass on Silvasti, and obviously, despite starting in 17th place and despite there being lots of cars around you, you always pay attention to the likes of Silvasti, Gudenaienhuis, Hugo Prieto. They are always fast guys, and they are always around you even in sprint races, or they are usually around you even in sprint races, fighting until the end of the 25-minute race for position against you, despite going through the field, because they simply have great pace. Now, looking at the replay, it went all wrong, slightly ahead of us. I think I was able to react quite well. I think we would have gone through there cleanly had it not been for the hit that we got from behind. You'll see it again in the replay that is following now. Here we go. This is quite a good shot, it seems. Outside line here, then something goes wrong ahead. There it goes, and there yeah, we get a massive shot from behind, and well, it all causes a big chain reaction. Here we see it again. A little bit of a slow motion replay. Who does not like that? It goes wrong in front of us, obviously. Then I slam on the brakes here. Think there's a little bit of a gap, obviously, on the left. So I go there, and then boom, there is that hit from behind. Now the struggle here is a little bit. I'm liking these slow motions. I finally got time to explain something without having to hurry. I have 18 cars visible. All of those 18 cars are visible behind me, so I couldn't see, as we have our teammate. We see our teammate, there was a car flying over him. I couldn't see cars that were rejoining. So yeah, then we get hit from behind again, and because of that, I got some momentum. So I was like, fuck it, I have some momentum now. Just rejoin the track. I don't know how that wasn't a proper hit. It seems like there was a little bit of lag involved there. And now the stupid thing, that contact you saw there with the car driving backwards, that is what ended my race. So the initial crash was not really worth a DNF. The suspension, the front left suspension, broke after I was rejoining the track. Like, this is all fine. Yes, there's obviously damage to the car, like, no doubt about it. But all wheels are still intact. Here's where we get the hit from behind, right there. We rejoin the track and look at the front left suspension now. Boom. That is where it breaks. So after all of that contact, the damage that ends our race is when we rejoin the track and follow our way again. So, well, lots of people DNF'd. You can see here the pit lane is full of cars that have got damage, and that's how that race ended. And the funny thing is, there were basically a few cars that did survive that, or who went into the pit lane and got some repairs, but a massive crash, and it caused a huge train reaction, obviously, in the field. It's probably not the last crash you'll see. That is the way it goes with these sprint races, basically. You have the faster guys starting behind the slower guys, and there's bound to be some kind of incident usually. Well, that's the way it is. We move on, and like I said, we have to improve our raw pace really for the next 2 rounds. And remember, those next 2 rounds will have an overlay, so that should make the quality of the content a little bit better for the next video. Again, apologies about the long wait for this highlight video. I was fiddling around with overlays, could still not get it to work at the end of the day, but I won't disappoint you for the next video. Thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, I would sincerely appreciate a like. Massive crash in the sprint race at Brands Hatch. Doesn't gain us any points at all. Not really a very successful video really. These 2 rounds at Okayama and Brands Hatch weren't that successful at all. I guess we were lucky with the victory in the feature race of Brands Hatch. That's gonna save us a few points definitely. But yeah, we can only look forwards, because that's where the rest of the points will lie for the that will count for the championship. I hope you have a great day. Thank you all for watching again. See you next time. Goodbye.